Hello, welcome. This is Simon at Mr. and Mrs. Know-How for the third part of our info reel series, How to Be Positive About Illness and Recovery, in which we've been talking about how to change your mindset from a negative to a positive attitude in order to be able to manage our health and our well-being and even be more proactive about illness and how we can actually recover from that illness, especially if it's a long-term one, or we have many different types of illnesses over the years. Now, during the previous two info reels, I can actually imagine maybe some of you thinking, well, Simon, you've got absolutely no idea whatsoever what it's like for me, what I'm suffering. You've got absolutely no conception of the pain I go through, the anxiety, the stress I go through, the regular problems I have. My doctors aren't helping me. Nobody's helping me. I've just got myself to rely on. And you know what? I can't possibly know what it's like for you to go through what you're going through. So all I can do is to share with you my experiences that I recently had in the hospital. Because I hope by doing this, you'll be able to see the similarities and not focus on the differences. By seeing the similarities, I mean those things that you identify with, those things that resonate with you, that can help you. And you don't put the differences between us, between our stories, in the way of being able to appreciate that maybe those similarities can help you. I could very well have been a person who brought a very negative mental attitude with me to the hospital. I could have been that person that I used to be in the past. I could have brought with me a lot of my anger and resentment about my illness with me to the hospital, which would have got in the way of my treatment. I could very well have been nasty and rude to the staff, especially if things weren't going the way that you expected. However, I realised very early on, well before I actually went into hospital, that anger is actually the refuge of fear. And I wasn't going to go into hospital with that fear. I could very well have been the prima donna, the person I used to be, the attention seeker, the person always screaming out for sympathy. I was the only important person there. And everyone had to understand what I was going through. But of course, I also understand, or I understood, that the attention seeker, the person who is screaming out for sympathy, is also the refuge of doubt. And I had no doubt about my condition. I had no doubt who was responsible for it. I had no doubt why I was in hospital. I was in hospital to get better. I could have been closed-minded and resistant to what was going on in the hospital. I could have just listened repeatedly to the stinking thinking that was going on in my head. And boy, was I having some stinking thinking. But I knew that none of this would help me. None of this would get me through to the other side. None of this would, in fact, assist other people to help me. So I said to myself, stinky thoughts, stinking thinking, shut up. I'm not going to listen to you. And they persisted, but I persistently told them to shut up. Now, I could have brought all of these obstructions with me that would have got in the way of the whole time I stayed in the hospital, because I've been prodded, I've been poked, I've been pierced, I've been x-rayed, I've been scanned. I had so many different tests. I was nil by mouth for 12 days, in which I actually lost 14 kilos. I hardly slept in all the time I was there. I was so fatigued, I was sometimes incapable of speaking. I was cut from my chest all the way down to below my belly button and remodeled or rebranded, so to speak. So I could have brought all this negativity with me, which surely would have got in the way, which surely would have made my time in the hospital even more difficult. So what did I actually bring with me? What positive mindset did I have in order to get through this time in the hospital? Well, the first thing I brought with me, which is the most important, was love. I brought with me the love that I have for my life, the love that I have for my wife and children and family, the love that I have for my parents. I was determined that this would not be the end of my life. I was determined that in order to have a better quality of life, I had to bring with me the love that I have for this life to get to the other side and know that after hospital my life would be better. And I would be even more in love with myself, more in love with my family, more in love with my children, more in love with everything to do with my life and what my goals would be and what I intended to do with my life after the operation, because I knew that people were there to assist me and to help me and to prolong that love that I have for my life. And because of this love, I would do anything to get better. The second thing I brought with me was faith, was belief. I believed in the system. I believed in that there was a system, which was the hospital, and they knew what to do to help me get better. I had faith in my consultant who was doing the operation. I had faith in the nurses. I had faith in the system that would assist me to get better. There was no question. I had no doubt that they were there to help me. So how could I doubt what was happening to me that would make me better? I had to believe that this successful system would get me through. And I had no doubts about it. And I believed in that with my whole heart. The third thing that I brought with me was keeping things simple. I knew why I was there. I knew what had to be done to get better. I knew to follow instructions, to believe in the system, as I said before. But by keeping things simple, I didn't put obstructions in the way. I didn't question what was going on. That's not to say that sometimes when things went wrong, I didn't assert myself. And I didn't actually say to people that I didn't like what was happening. But what it did is that it stopped me from putting silly, complicated obstructions in the way of my recovery. It helped me to be disciplined. It helped with my motivation. It helped to incentivize me to get better and to get better quickly, because you need discipline in order to recover from something that I went through. You need discipline and incentive and motivation to start your recovery, because I was damn sure that I would not stay in hospital for longer than I needed to. I was damn sure that I wanted to get home quickly, that I wanted to be there for my wife. I wanted to be there for my children. I wanted to be there for my parents. And I was damn sure that if I had to do whatever it took to quickly recover and get out of hospital, then that's what I was going to do. So I was always calm. I had a strength that I didn't know that I really truly had. And because of that, because of my passion for my health, because of my passion for my well-being, I kept the end game in sight. I never lost sight of my vision, and my vision was to get better and to recover quickly so I could get home. And not only that, but it created a determination that I would change my life. I would change my diet. I radically changed my diet and change the way that I would proactively manage my health. That was my end game, and that helped me get through my recovery a lot more quickly. The other thing that I brought with me, and this may sound a bit strange, was I was going to be nice to everyone. I was going to be helpful to everyone, not only the other patients, but also the staff. I wasn't going to complain. I wasn't going to pity myself, despite the pain and the discomfort. And I have to say, a certain amount of suffering that I went through, I wasn't going to let that get in the way of me creating really good relationships with my consultant, with his team, with nurses, with other patients. I'll tell you why. It's because if I wasn't to be like that and just be concerned about my own self and my own suffering and me feeling sorry for myself, that wouldn't have helped me. In fact, speaking to people and being nice to people and helping other patients, because sometimes they needed help as well, and I could actually be that person to help them, that actually made me feel good. That made me feel better. That helped put me in a positive frame of mind. That positive mindset to want to give back something. And one of the ways that I could give back to the staff was not to be a nasty bugger. It was not to be horrible. It was to not just think about myself and that I was the only most important person on the ward, in the hospital in fact. That helped me. That got me through, thinking about other people, giving back what I could. And I can't tell you how grateful that made me feel and how humble, because there were people there who were a lot worse than me. And now that we've come to the end of our 3 info reels, I hope I've managed to share with you and shown you how important it is to take this personal responsibility for the way that you live your life, for your health, for managing your well-being. And I hope that I've been able to show you that through my own personal positive motion, which isn't just theory, which isn't me blowing smoke rings out of my backside, actually works. It makes you feel better. It helps you to manage your health and your well-being in a proactive and responsible and positive way. If you had a choice of being ill all the time or being ill a lot of the time and not knowing why, as opposed to managing your health and very rarely getting ill, what would you choose? I'll leave that question with you there. So hopefully I've been of some help to you, and please remember that if you want to learn now, you need to know how. Bye-bye for now.